Hey, let's put the applause on. We're going to start this thing. Fear number 3. So let's get over this fear of knowledge, this whole analysis paralysis. So welcome if you're tuning in live. I'd love to see you. If you're catching this on our recording, no problem at all. Make sure to take notes. If you guys want to join in the conversation, you can. There's a link on the post. And I'm going to go ahead and cover two main things, and we've got some homework today. So, let's kind of see where we go from here. So fear number 3, knowledge. So a lot of times, and the only reason I'm doing these videos is so that you guys can hopefully get over whatever that hump is. If you're serious about doing some sort of real estate investing, at least on the single family side, and really look after those profits, even through COVID, there's still deals being made. I mean, the reality of it is that there is a housing shortage. So it's very much a seller's market. It was a buyer's market for like 2 weeks for some reason, which is crazy. But, the bottom line is that, real estate investing is the proven path for wealth. And everybody should be involved with it one way or the other. It's all about what the personal strategy for you is. And hopefully through this 7 fear, series of videos, you guys can kind of get a hint on what may be holding you back and hopefully gain some actionable insights. So today we're going to be covering the 3 numbers you only need to know for any real estate investment deal, right? Only the 3 numbers that you need to know. Analysis paralysis and how to stop it, how to overcome it, and then some homework for you. So that's what we're going to be covering here today. All right, so what are the 3 numbers? What are the 3 numbers that any real estate investor needs to know, especially on the single family side? I don't really touch on multifamily. It's not something that I have a wealth of experience on. So we mainly focus on single family investing and single family profits. And there's various reasons for that. But the 3 numbers that you only need to know, the first one is what we call the after repair value, okay? Otherwise known as ARV, after repair value. So what is after repair value? It's what the showroom condition is of the home. And let me switch the camera here so you guys can see the whiteboard. And by the way, if you have yet to download our 7 steps to become a real estate investor in any market, make sure to go to realestatewealthempire.com and get your copy. It's going to be part of the homework here. So the 3 numbers that you only need to know, the first one is ARV. Now, I'll tell you from personal experience, ARV, it's a little bit of an art, okay? It's a little bit of an art. I'll tell you a story that once I was talking with a seller that has a house in a lower end area known as Sunnyside here in Houston. It's always sunny on Sunnyside. And he had this like 4,000 square foot home. Huge house. I mean, like 3 to 4 times the size of what the typical home is there. And he was expecting 3 to 4 times the price for the home or value. The reality of it is you can put the Taj Mahal in Sunnyside. It's still Sunnyside, okay? It's still the demographics. So after repair value is what we call or what we consider showroom condition, because it's once it's all fixed up, okay, showroom condition. But the one trick that will always keep you safe is never go above the cap. Never go above the cap. What do I mean by that? Never go above the cap, okay? If you got additional square footage, if you've got a house that has additional square footage than the highest sale, dollar per square foot and all these calculators and all this fancy schmancy stuff, it's going to bring you to an unrealistic value. So you always want to look at what the after repair value is of showroom condition or retail condition, but never go above the cap. This is where you get in danger if you start evaluating your properties as if they were special. as if they were, way more valuable than anything that has sold. You always want to stay below the cap because, you know, it's an investment. We're not trying to speculate. Versus when you're buying for personal reasons, there's emotion attached to it. But as an investor, we're not after speculation, okay? So the after repair value, it's the showroom condition based on, comparables, okay, for a home, comparables for a home. And you want to consider square footage, you want to consider year built. You even want to consider, what do you call it? You call it the elevation of the home, like how does it look, and the materials as well. Is it brick, is it siding, and obviously the finishes. So bottom line is that you need to get clear around what the after repair showroom condition value of the home based on comparables that are very similar of the home, but never go above the cap. Okay, that will keep you safe right here. Never go above the cap, because we don't speculate. We're not trying to speculate in anything that we do, okay? Now, the next one might seem obvious, but a lot of people make this mistake and they don't really analyze it thoroughly. And it's knowing the actual cost of purchase. So it does not, cost of purchase, cost of, the entire capital cost, if you would. It is not meant to only be the purchase price. It is not meant to only be the rehab. You have to understand what the days on the market are and what your cost of capital is, okay? Because if you don't, you are going to be in a world of pain. And ask me, how I know. So purchase price, rehab, days on the market, cost of capital. Obviously, you want to build in some contingency there, and then all of the soft cost, which would be like your transactional, your title fees, et cetera, et cetera. So, and this applies to essentially almost all of the strategies that involve construction, right? But the rest of them, you have to have an idea. Even if you're wholesaling and you're playing the whole price arbitrage process that we teach, the reality of it is that you need to understand this, because you need to understand who you're wholesaling it to. As a landlord, you want to understand what your financing looks like, what the costs are. And as a flipper, way more than anything else. It matters a whole lot. So then number 3 is the rent rates. Now, the rent rates, you always want to go with best product, best price policy, okay? You don't want to overprice it. You want to make sure that it gets filled quickly for rentals. But at the same time, the rent rates is what bases out your owner finance value sale of the home, okay? And if you've been following these videos, there's an ideal single family supply chain strategy, okay? There's an ideal path for every single family house that you can make over 10 profit centers per house. Some people, they just focus on one thing, which is great. You get really good at it, but at least you want to understand all of them. So the rent rates will tell you a lot, because not only as a landlord or owner financier, but even as a flipper, if your flip flops, which it might, it happens. If there's a sudden market change, you want to understand what that is. You want to understand that at least you'll be covered if you need to keep that property at a worst case. And this is very atypical for a higher end type of market. If you're in a higher end type of market, your rent rates are not going to match, okay? Are not going to match to your holding costs. I hope that makes sense, in terms of that first point. ARV, cost of purchase, capital cost, and rent rates. That is the first lesson here on fear number 3, knowledge. So let's see what else we got as a second point of conversation today. And again, if you guys have any questions, you're watching a recording, make sure to post it in the group, in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And that way we can all grow together and learn together, okay? So then the next one is analysis paralysis. So the fact is that a lot of us get analysis paralysis of what we don't know. And we need to start taking action so that we get over that anxiety, okay? Because anxiety is just a lie. It's false, false evidence of, that fake reality. And so the way we can get rid of analysis paralysis is not only about taking action, but here's what I found based on, some of the coaching students that I've had. So the first one is start with the end in mind, okay? If you can get really laser focused, if you can get super laser focused on what it is that you're looking for, then it'll be easier to spot, and somehow the universe attracts it to you, okay? So start with the end in mind would be the first key point that I would give you regarding all of this. The second one is to actually put it on paper, okay? If you can make sense out of a deal on paper and you have solid foundation regarding how that deal is going to come out and how you're going to execute it, if you can put it on paper, you most definitely can execute it in real life, okay? So besides just taking action for analysis paralysis, we got start with the end in mind, put it on paper is the second one. And then honestly, it might sound obvious, but some of you need to hear this, common sense. You need common sense for any business. You need to make sure that it has common sense, that you are not executing based on hype, that you are not speculating, and you're working off of facts and experience, okay? That is how you can actually overcome analysis paralysis, because if you're all over the place, you don't have a goal, you can't write it down, how are you going to be able to execute and get that money in the bank? It'll be really, really, really tough, okay? So bottom line is get over the analysis paralysis for sure. Start taking action. Start with the end in mind. What is your end in mind? Is it to be a full-time real estate investor? So how do you transition to a full-time real estate investor? Is it just to start building wealth and residual income as part of your retirement plan, adding assets to your financial statement, right? Start taking those actions and writing it down, putting it on paper, and use common sense through it. I mean, that's really what you need to do, bottom line. I mean, there's really no ifs and buts about it. So what I'd like for you to do as part of this video, number 3, the third point that I had for y'all was homework. So what is the homework? Well, I'd like for you guys to read over the 7 steps, okay? These 7 steps to become a real estate investor in any market. But you read over it. And once you're subscribed, you're going to get an email with all of our free tools. And there's a trial there with different softwares that you can try out. And I want you to start analyzing some deals. It's not going to cost you anything. It's free trials. You can, cancel it within a day. But if you're serious about getting some wealth and some income and freedom based on real estate investing, you definitely need to start putting it on paper. You need to start looking into it with the end in mind. So that's the homework, okay? Let me know how it goes. I'd like for you guys to come back and chat and let me know, hey, I analyzed this junker that I saw in the neighborhood, or driving back and forth, I saw this property, I analyzed it. And that's when you really start engaging. That's when you actually start seeing, okay, this is my neighborhood, this is where the values are. Oh, I see this property is different than this one. I wonder how it affects value. So having the knowledge, it takes practice, for sure. But it's as much of a science as it is an art, and it's all backed by consistency. So that was it for today. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your evening. And I'll come back with our next fear tomorrow to discuss it. And let me know in the comments, click share, and let me know what sort of questions you guys have regarding real estate investing. I'd love to hear them. Take care. Bye-bye.